The soft golden lights of the Grand Aloria restaurant shimmered off crystal chandeliers as violins played softly in the background. It was the kind of place where the wealthy dined, where each glass of wine cost more than a week's pay for most. Yet, amidst the luxury and laughter, there stood a young waitress named Lena, adjusting her black and white uniform nervously in front of the mirror. It was her first week working here, and she could already feel the weight of expectations pressing on her shoulders. Her shoes were slightly worn, her hands trembled from exhaustion, and her mind buzzed with the echo of past struggles. But tonight would change her life forever, though she didn't know it yet. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the power of small actions, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to the Kindness Journal. Your support helps spread stories that remind the world, good hearts still exist. Lena wasn't born into privilege. Her mother, once a bright and loving woman, had fallen ill when Lena was still a teenager. Between hospital bills and rent, life had become a series of sacrifices. Lena had dropped out of college to care for her mother, juggling 2 jobs to make ends meet. Every night she'd whisper promises to herself that one day, somehow, she'd make things better. Her mother, who had slowly lost her hearing due to complications from her illness, became Lena's greatest source of strength. They learned sign language together, laughing through mistakes, communicating through their hands when words no longer worked. It became their secret world of love and resilience. The restaurant was unusually busy that evening. Rumors had spread that Victor Callahan, a billionaire philanthropist known for his cold demeanor, had booked the VIP table. He was dining with his elderly mother, Margaret Callahan, and his fiancée, a glamorous woman who seemed to radiate confidence and perfection. The staff buzzed with nervous energy. Everyone knew the Callahans could make or break reputations with a single review. For Lena, this was a night to keep her head down and serve quietly. When the Callahans arrived, the atmosphere changed. Heads turned. Cameras flashed. Victor, dressed in a tailored gray suit, exuded quiet authority, while his mother, with silver curls and gentle eyes, moved gracefully beside him. Lena noticed something immediately: Margaret's hearing aids. Her heart skipped. She recognized the small gestures Margaret made, the subtle tapping of her fingers on the table. She was deaf. For a moment, Lena hesitated. Should she approach her using sign language? What if it seemed unprofessional? What if she embarrassed herself in front of such important people? But deep inside, something urged her, a whisper of courage her mother once gave her: kindness never goes unnoticed. As Lena approached the table, she greeted them with her usual smile, but then she turned toward Margaret. With her hands slightly trembling, she signed softly, "Good evening, ma'am. It's an honor to serve you tonight." The table fell silent. Margaret's eyes widened, then sparkled with disbelief. Her wrinkled hands rose slowly, replying in sign. "You know sign language?" Lena nodded, smiling warmly. Victor's fiancée looked confused, glancing between them, while Victor himself leaned back, studying the young waitress. Margaret reached out and gently touched Lena's hand, her lips curving into a teary smile. For the first time that evening, she looked truly seen. What followed was pure magic. As Lena served their dinner, she continued signing small phrases to Margaret, asking if she was comfortable, if she'd like more tea, making her laugh with light-hearted expressions only they understood. Margaret's joy was infectious. The once stiff billionaire family dinner began to feel human. Even Victor, who rarely smiled in public, seemed to soften as he watched his mother light up in conversation. It was as if Lena had unlocked something long forgotten in their hearts. But behind Lena's calm smile, she carried invisible pain. Her own mother had passed away just a few months earlier. She had promised she'd learn sign language fluently, for her mother's sake. Every sign she made now was like a silent tribute, each gesture filled with love and loss. That night, as she watched Margaret laugh, she felt her mother's presence beside her, whispering, "I'm proud of you." When the main course was done, Victor excused himself to take a call, leaving Margaret and Lena alone for a few moments. Margaret gently reached into her purse and pulled out a small locket. She signed to Lena, "This was my late husband's. You remind me of him, kind eyes, pure heart." Tears welled in Lena's eyes as she signed back, "Your son is lucky to have you." Margaret shook her head softly, replying, "No, dear. Tonight, I feel lucky to have met you." When Victor returned, he noticed his mother holding Lena's hand. "Everything all right?" he asked, half concerned. Margaret smiled and signed something quickly, her hands moving with unexpected force. Victor frowned, then looked at Lena in surprise. "My mother says you spoke to her in sign language," he said quietly. "She says you made her feel understood." Lena nodded, unsure how to respond. "I just wanted her to feel comfortable, sir." For a moment, Victor said nothing. Then, with a deep breath, he replied, "You have no idea what that means to her. Or to me." As the evening came to a close, the Callahans prepared to leave. Margaret insisted on hugging Lena before going, something the entire restaurant staff watched in awe. But before she left, she slipped a small folded note into Lena's palm. When Lena opened it after they left, her heart nearly stopped. Inside was a handwritten message: "You reminded me that kindness still exists in this world. Margaret Callahan." Beneath it, a phone number was written. Days turned into weeks. Lena continued her shifts, trying to shake off the memory of that magical night. She never expected to hear from the Callahans again. Until one afternoon, her manager rushed over, breathless. "Lena. Someone's here to see you." She turned, and there stood Victor Callahan, looking nothing like the cold billionaire from before. He smiled slightly. "My mother hasn't stopped talking about you," he said. "She told me to find you, because she wants you to work with her." Confused, Lena followed him to his car, where Margaret sat waiting with a radiant smile. She signed quickly, "I started a charity for people with hearing loss. We help families afford care, devices, and education. I want you to be part of it. You understand what it means to love someone who can't hear the world." Lena's eyes filled with tears. Her voice trembled as she whispered, "I'd be honored." From that day forward, Lena's life transformed. She left her job at the restaurant and began working alongside Margaret, helping organize events, training families, and spreading awareness about the deaf community. The charity grew rapidly, not because of money, but because of the heart behind it. Margaret often introduced Lena at events as the girl who reminded me that kindness speaks louder than words. Months later, during a grand gala to celebrate the charity's success, Lena stood on stage, looking out over hundreds of faces. Among them were Victor, his fiancée, and Margaret, all smiling proudly. Lena took a deep breath, remembering where she had come from, the long nights, the tears, the struggle, and the moment she dared to be kind. "Sometimes," she said softly, "we underestimate the power of small gestures. A smile. A word. A sign. We never know whose heart we might touch when we lead with kindness." The audience erupted in applause, many wiping away tears. Victor's mother clapped the loudest, her hands moving with joy. If this story touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe to the Kindness Journal, where true stories of love, compassion, and humanity remind us that kindness can change the world. And before you go, comment below, kindness speaks louder than words. Let's fill this world with good hearts and gentle hands that never forget to care. As the night came to an end, Lena looked up at the stars outside the grand hall. Somewhere beyond them, she felt her mother's presence again, proud, peaceful, and smiling. The girl who once served tables had now become a light for others. All because one night, she chose to speak the language of the heart.